private, right?
True.
You can't get to where you need to go. And so our focus is also on making sure rural America has access to charging stations. We want to make sure people who live in apartment buildings who don't have the ability to affix something like this to their garage, that they actually can have, and also the uniformity around the type of charge, so that it's not just for certain cars. You know, we're experiencing this when you look at your smartphone, right? And all the different plugs you might need for different devices. And we want to make sure, as we think about the technology moving forward and the future of electric vehicles, that we absolutely make it accessible for everyone and make it easy for folks.
Right.
Just like filling up your tank with gas, there's a uniform nozzle and input in the car. We want to make sure the same thing is happening with electric vehicles as we grow this technology and the ubiquity of the technology.
And in fact, there is, at this point, the great thing is the Society of Automotive Engineers has actually set a standard for the plug.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're able to charge any car out there, and so that's the good news. And absolutely, we need to get this in rural areas, disadvantaged communities, you know, and I particularly stress that because, look, filling up with electricity, it's, you know, as opposed to filling up with gas, it's 80% cheaper, right? So if it's costing you $200 a month to fill up with gas, this is $40 in electricity. What's not to like? I mean, that's literally putting money in people's pockets, right? So this is, and of course,
cost.
Sorry?
Talking about the cost, you're going to be able to put your credit card in? I don't see one here. But
yeah, the one on the stage next to the Ford F-Line F-150 is that's a credit card model. This one you can start it with these smart cards or with an app on your phone. So you know, so it's completely effortless. Multiple methods of doing this.
Wonderful.
Very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
madam.
you for your work.
All right.
Thank you.
Hold it up. Okay. One last call.
And of course, right now with
Okay. Grid benefits. Okay, Mr. Thomas.
Ford Pro. There we go.
Mr. Thomas, please tell us what the American people need to know about what we're doing here.
Well, first, thank you, Madam Vice President. This is really important. The benefit to families and neighborhoods, one, it deals with the issue of access to electricity and protecting our environment. Number one, protecting our environment. School buses, electric school buses, electric vehicles as well, they help with reducing pollution. Across the country, many people are moving to electric school buses, electric vehicles, and we think about recently this year in Texas, during the middle of this natural disaster, people were able to take F-150 Ford trucks and actually were able to provide electricity to their homes. Yeah. So we have to continue to promote electric vehicles, but we also got to make sure that at our coalition, we're concerned about equity. So electric vehicle equity, making sure that it's affordable, accessible, that we deal with the issue of charging deserts. Even I live in Upper Marlboro, right down the street here, and there's just not enough electric charging stations. So we've got to make sure we address the issue of electric vehicle equity as well, to make sure that families have access to them, they're affordable, and they're not locked out, so that we don't have a situation like we had with the internet, where some communities have dial-up, slow charging, and some people need to also have access to those fast chargers, particularly in our region as well.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I was talking with our team just last week about that point, the symmetry between the potential that we have here, achievable potential, and the lessons learned about the rollout of broadband.
Yes.
Highlighted, of course, the problems with that, highlighted during the pandemic when we had whole communities of folks who either had no access to broadband or could not afford it. So when we think about the rollout of what we are doing with electric vehicles, we have those lessons in mind around the need to ensure that there is parity, that equitable distribution of resources, and also learning the lessons about which communities traditionally have been left out. And it's not just a theoretical point about underserved and overlooked. We can literally at this point just pinpoint specific locations based on the recent experiences we've had, and that should highlight for us what we need to do even more in specific areas to make sure nobody's left out.
Yeah, last week I was looking at the map. You can actually go right onto the internet. The Department of Energy has a map where you can look at locations for chargers, and even in this county, there's a disparity between where you find chargers in College Park compared to Upper Marlboro.
Yeah.
So if we're not intentional and work
That's
with
right.
faith-based organizations, schools, and churches, communities will be left behind.
That's right.
And so we're helping to make sure that we can get access to those grants, those dollars, work with auto dealers, work with manufacturers as well, so that underserved communities are not left behind.
Great. Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Really nice job, Ashley. Thank you very much.